Satire. Let's talk about satire. This is a definition that you need to know. Satire is, it's first a literary manner. A literary manner which blends a critical attitude with humor and wit. With humor and wit, to the end that human institutions or humanity may be improved. To the end, which means purpose, telos, that human institutions or humanity may be improved. Okay, now I'm starting off kind of slow here. I'm making sure you get all of these words. Let's look at what's important in this definition, okay? And this sounds like 6th grade, but I'm doing this because this will probably be on the test. Hannah, when I say that probably means it'll be on the first test, right? She's had me before. You agree, right? If I say this will probably be on the test, that means you should write all of these words down, okay? Satire. I might ask you to write the definition of satire. It's a literary manner which blends a critical attitude, with humor and wit, funny, to the purpose that human institutions or humanity may be improved. Okay. Satire is a literary manner which blends a critical attitude with humor and wit for the purpose of improving human institutions and humanity. Now, I want you to think about, if I asked you to define this on the test, do you see how I've done this for, my goodness, this is 15 years. So I kind of already know how many points the definition would be, because there are 5 things I'm looking for. You can't just say that Swift and Pope and Candide are writing funny stuff. Okay, that's not the definition. It is funny, a lot of it's funny, but you can't stop there. You have to go farther, because if I say define satire, I've got one thing. It's a literary manner. Literary manner. Critical is another thing, so it is criticizing something. It's not just saying, oh, life is wonderful and funny, okay? We're not just watching a sitcom. It's just silly. But it does have humor and wit. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about human institutions or humanity. 4 and 5. That they're trying to improve that. He's not just bashing someone. He's not just bashing somebody, right? So if there's a question on the test about this, say define satire, it could probably be either a 5 or a 10-point question, right? Because I would be looking for the words literary manner, that's 1. Critical attitude, critical, something negative, that's 2. Humor and wit, that's 3. Human institutions and humanity, that's 4. And were you actually there for the review after I turned returned the things back? Were you there on a day that you weren't there for whenever they came? Do you remember when I would go over the test and say, see, these are the things that I wanted to see, and that would be 1 point, that would be 1 point, that would be 1 point. That's how I grade them. So yes.
Well, can we just list them and alleviate the other words?
No, because it wouldn't make any sense if you just said literary manner, critical attitude, humor and wit, human and improved. That just sounds really
Okay.
So, no. It needs to be put together in a sentence, but these are the elements that are gonna be important. I have to know what they're, because if you just say critical attitude, humor, and it could be and, it could be or, it, you know, so it has to make sense. Yeah. But that's why, I'm saying this because last semester I did get some answers that were kind of like, he's criticizing humanity. Or he's being funny about humanity. That's not enough. You've got to get the whole thing there, okay? So, I mean, that also, you know, if you're memorizing and you've only got, by the way, I don't take it personally if, you know, like, if you don't have time to study for the test and then you leave out, you know, I can tell you didn't get back to this definition. I don't take it personally. I'm not going to get my feelings hurt if you don't answer it, but please don't take it personally that if you get 0 points, okay? I'm just trying to help you at this point to know how to study, okay? I'm just trying to tell you, this is how you answer the question to get all the points. If you leave it all out, I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm just saying you wouldn't get points for that one, so. Okay, that kind of math, does that make sense? Okay, because in literature classes, you have lots of writing and you get lots of feedback, and this is for the online folks too. Whenever I say, no, that's really not quite the right answer, I don't think you're dumb. I don't dislike you. I'm just saying, no, that's not the right answer, so that then you know what the right answer is. Don't take it personal, okay? Okay. Believe me, I know, because I wrote for newspapers and stuff for years, and public relations and stuff for years. And they hand the stuff back, and you know, you write something, and it's never good the first time. And so your editor or boss or whatever hands it back, and you start over again and do that 5 or 6 times. And finally, it's what they wanted. Just right. But, okay, so that's what satire is. It's a literary manner, critical attitude, it's funny, and it's also to improve humanity. Now let's talk about Swift and what's going on at the time of Swift. What did you think about A Modest Proposal? Okay, what did you think about A Modest Proposal?
It was kind of disturbing and funny at the same time.
Disturbing?
I didn't even think about eating a little kid.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of disturbing, and it's, yeah, because you're going, this is so bad. You know, you're about to laugh, and then you go, this is so bad, right? What did you think?
I don't know, I thought maybe he was just trying to keep the population down.
Crowd
That's
control.
what I got out of it.
To some extent, yeah, it looked like
Put some kids on the market, on the food market or something.
put some kids on the food market, exactly, yeah.
They go to the grocery store, be able to pick up a
Kid.
10-month-old kid.
Yeah. 10 months to a year, that's when they're really the best for, you know.
I kind of looked at the year that this was written, and it's in 1729. I was thinking, is this frowned upon, or?
Oh, yes, Irish people were not cannibals even in 1729. Yeah, and actually, if you look at the way that he writes it, okay, how do we know? I mean, even if we don't know when he's writing it, let's pretend we don't know when it's written, and that's an important question. Would they frown on this then? And how can you tell he's trying to be funny?
To a certain degree, but like I said, part of it is just disturbing. You just sit here and think about cooking a cake and seasoning it up. So it's just kind of, you know,
Yeah.
I went back and forth with it. I read it about 2 or 3 times. Like,
Yeah, it's disturbing.
it's just disturbing.
It is, and so in that sense, it's critical. It is critical. Yes.
For me to almost like completely understand that he's being sarcastic, I feel like I would have to have a conversation with him. It's kind of hard to get through the text of the writing that he's being completely sarcastic and not being serious, because he just carries it so far.
He does. He says, although there are places where, let's see. The part that, think about, okay, 1729, who would read this? Who do you think would read this? 1729, Ireland.
Well, sure not that many people can read, so
Thank you. Probably not that many people can read. Exactly.
it's just gonna be an upper class or like politicians, that kind of people who can do something about it.
Yes, people who are upper class, probably politicians, or at least people who have maybe the owners of property, who could do something about it. And so he's not writing this for all the mothers of the little kids who are running around in the streets that he talks about. Okay. Why would he want them? Do you see something in the tone that makes it sound like that's who it's written for? Or how do you know
Makes
how?
sense, because he does state that, like, to, care to provide for people that own property and, you know, stuff like that, so it's more so directed to them.
Okay, it's directed towards people who own property, and that is a problem at this time. Who owns the property? Can you tell from what you've read? Who owns most of the property?
Landlords.
Landlords. Anything, what are the landlords like? Or any characteristics of them? Where are they?
Like wealthy businessmen?
Wealthy businessmen, okay.
Snooty.
Snooty. Unconcerned. Do you know the situation in Ireland? Maybe we should give you some historical background. Okay. That might help. Okay, you have at the beginning of 1600, okay, in 1600 to about 1650, you have a lot of, oops, wrote it wrong, 1600 to 1650, you have a lot of changes going on. Anybody associate a religious, a Christian denomination with Ireland? Who lives?
They're Protestants, but there's a Catholic Protestant issue.
There's a huge Catholic Protestant issue, yes. And it's not just Catholic Protestant, it's also English-Irish, okay? It's also English-Irish, because you have, at the beginning of 1600, most of the property, like 3/4 of the property in Ireland in 1600 was owned by Catholics. Most of Ireland was Catholic. You go way back, say to the 5th century BC, all the way back to 5th century BC, okay? Are they Christian in the 5th century BC? No, why not? Thank you, it's before Christ. So they're not Christian way back then, they're Celts, okay? You had this they're Celtic before that time. Early on in the history of Christianity, you have Catholics coming, or you have Christians. I mean, at that point it's pre-Reformation, so you have Christians coming and settling in Ireland. I guess we could go even as early as 5 AD, and I don't use the CE silliness because that's the Christian era, which implies, I don't know what it, no, what is BCE, before the Christian era, or before the, yeah. It's Common era, thank you, before the Common era, and yeah, that's just silliness. I still do the old-fashioned, BC AD. So by the 5th century AD, we have Christianity coming to Ireland. And then we also have, pretty early on, we have the fall of the Roman Empire, right? We've got the fall of the Roman Empire, the invasion of the Gauls and all these different people, right? Now, what happens though, Ireland's just kind of out there on that island by itself, and it's really not messed with. So you get monasteries, you get Catholic monasteries that are built in Ireland. No, they're not building cities and towns and becoming a metropolis of Ireland. You have this kind of ancient way of living at this point. So they're just kind of, they hole up in the monastery, the priests do and the monks and whatever, and they copy documents. They copy scripture, they copy philosophy, they copy these things over for years and years and years. They're really not bothered. So although you've got the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages in the Roman Empire, way off in Ireland, they're kind of preserving education. There's a book called How the Irish Saved Civilization, because in these monasteries, that's all they did was they just studied and copied things over. And that's why you have all these beautiful things like the Book of Kells with the illuminated texts and all of that. Do y'all know what I'm talking about, an illuminated text? Anybody know what that is? this sort of thing. Okay. I'll have to put one online too. This is what they mean by, this is the sort of stuff that they were doing. Let's see, full-size image, let's try that. But this is where you get all the beautiful artwork and the beautiful copies of the Bible. There was one that was making tours through Mobile, and different people could participate in copying out the Bible. But it's that sort of thing, this beautiful artwork that you find, and sometimes you find the first letter on a page is just really big, and it's got gold and colors and all this all around it. That sort of thing, or illuminated manuscripts, whoops. That kind of thing. Illuminated manuscripts. Oh, Wikipedia. We always love Wikipedia, don't we? Evil Wikipedia, although it does have pretty pictures here. That kind of thing. So they really decorate the first letter, that sort of thing. That's what they would be doing in these monasteries. So you've got that sort of thing going on in the monasteries. They preserve civilization. So really, Ireland is pretty Catholic. Does anybody remember when Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses to the door of the church at Wittenberg? Do I have any history people in here? You celebrate that, a lot of Protestants celebrate this on October 31st because they call it, not Halloween, Reformation Day, right? Is October 31st, okay? And what you're celebrating is the anniversary of 1517, when Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses to the church door in Wittenberg. And at that point, he really wasn't planning on becoming a Protestant or a Lutheran. He was just trying to change things in the church. But anyhow, okay, so that's 1517, Martin Luther does this. Now, in 1600, Ireland, kind of like what's going on with Rome, Ireland is just kind of Catholic. It's just hanging out there being Catholic. England, however, is going through all kinds of political upheaval. And so you've got like Charles, is it Charles II or the first? And he's got a brother, James. Well, Charles is Protestant, James is Catholic, and you get the Cromwell interregnum in between them. So you get Charles I, who is Protestant. Suddenly, Parliament doesn't like him so much. They're getting battles with the Irish. So between like 1600 and 1640, you get a battle where Ulster, which is in Northern Ireland, finally there's this long war, and you wind up with lots of English Protestant forts, basically. They are in the middle of Ulster, which is, they have lots of garrisons, forts. The English now have English law up there. There's an English influence. But it's still mostly populated by Catholics, and 3/4 of the people who are there that own land are Catholic. But then there is, Charles I is there. Parliament is kind of undermining him. Parliament wants to really take over Ireland. You don't need to know all these things, but Parliament and Charles don't get along. The Irish try to back Charles because they think that he will protect them from Parliament, who wants to take over their land. Then you get rid of, Charles gets exiled. The people that supported Charles, who were Catholic, then get their land taken away and given to Protestant English people. So now you've got the Protestant English landowners, okay? You have landholders who don't stay in Ireland, but they own land in Ireland because they were fighting for Parliament. They were fighting for the English. They're fighting for the English, right? So they were fighting to take over Ireland and colonize it. So you have the plantation of colonies, of English colonies in Ireland from around around 1640 and on, okay? The problem is, there aren't that many English there, and a lot of the people, the Protestant English people who own land in Ireland now, don't stay there. Now, if somebody gave you a whole bunch of, if you already have a nice castle in England, in London, and somebody gives you, or why don't we say you've got a nice castle in Florida somewhere, and somebody gives you nice weather, except during hurricane season, and somebody gives you a lot of land in, anybody from North Dakota? No, okay, North Dakota, we'll say, you're from North Dakota? No, you're from around here. You're from around here, yes, okay. So somebody gives you a bunch of land in North Dakota, pretty good farmland. Are you gonna go live in North Dakota, or are you gonna stay in your property in Florida? Stay in Florida, yeah, okay. You don't wanna go to North Dakota. Same thing with the English. The landowners, the landlords stay in England, but they're running property in Ireland with tenants, okay?
Summer home.
What?
It's a summer home.
It's kind of their summer home, but they don't really go up there because they're these poor Catholic people who just know how to farm. Why do I want to go up there? And anyhow, the roof leaks. You know, not really all that great. The roof leaks, so why do I want to go up there? So this is what Swift gets mad about, okay? There are other changes that go on that eventually, by 1700, almost all of the land is owned by the English people. Almost all of the landholders are English and Protestant, but most of the people who live there are Irish and Catholic. This is why they still have uprisings, riots, bombings, and stuff in Ireland, okay? This started way back when, and they still fight about it now. So, this is what Swift is talking about. He's talking to those English landlords, to a certain extent, because look at that line. Let me see what page it's on for you. I've got mine on the thing here. Yeah, look at page 485. Excellent. Did you highlight this? Apparently somebody else had the same book. Look at 485, or had my class. Okay. Look at, I do therefore humbly offer it. Okay, we're looking at that. Would you read that for me? Just read me that paragraph, and then down to the children. Okay. I want you to read that for me.
I do therefore humbly offer it to public consideration that of the 120,000 children already computed, 20,000 may be reserved for breed, whereof only 1/4 part to be males, which is more than we allow to sheep, black cattle, or swine. And my reason is, that these children are seldom the fruits of marriage, a circumstance not much regarded by our savages, therefore one male will be sufficient to serve 4 females. That the remaining 100,000 may, at a year old, be offered in sale to the persons of quality and fortune through the kingdom, always advising the mother to let them suck plentifully in the last month, so as to render them plump and fat for a good table. A child will make 2 dishes at an entertainment for friends, and when the family dines alone, the 4 of hind quarter will make a reasonable dish, and seasoned with a little pepper or salt, will be very good boiled on the 4th day, especially in winter. I have reckoned upon a medium that a child just born will weigh 12 pounds, and in a solar year, if tolerably nursed, increase to 28 pounds. I grant this food will be somewhat dear, and therefore very proper for landlords, who, as they have already devoured most of the parents, seem to have the best title to the children.
Okay. Now, we can tell there that he is being, what does that mean? I mean, have the landlords actually come from England up there and, gone Irish hunting and had them for dinner? No, what does it mean?
It's just stating that, that was his solution for trying to get a problem.
Okay.
That was the solution.
What does he mean though, that the landlords have already eaten up the parents?
Like, you're talking about the land that they stole from the parents?
The land they stole from the parents? Yeah. And then think about it. If you have, all you are concerned with about your North Dakota property is that it makes money for you, right? Mm-hmm. So you're thinking about, all I want is to get money off of this. I don't care if those people's roof leaks. I don't care if I'm taking too much from the, think about tenant farmers and sharecroppers in the Old South. I mean, yeah, you want to keep people healthy, your tenant farmers and your sharecroppers, you want to keep them healthy enough that they can do the work. but you don't really care enough to probably, make sure that they are in good living conditions and that they really have what they need. It's not like really profit sharing that much. So we're seeing the same kind of thing going on here. And so, okay, we see people to some extent today in the position of, with the economy, am I gonna buy food? Am I gonna buy medicine? Or do I buy something to fix the roof, right? The same thing is going on with the poor people in Ireland. And the landlords are absent. They don't come up there to Ireland any more than we would go to North Dakota on a regular basis, right? To check out how things are. They just want the profit. And so that's what he means. The landlords have eaten up the people because they've taken food off their table by not giving them more income, that sort of thing. It's not humane. So he's being extreme and he's joking, but it's going to be read, as we said, by the people who own the land, the people who are making the laws. So he's trying to jar them. He says, look, you've eaten these people up. People are dying because you're being too greedy, that kind of thing. And it's not their land. The people that the Irish are not even living on the land that was theirs. They're not allowed to own land. Most of the time, they're not allowed to own land. Except for a little bit. Another thing that makes me, I go between thinking it's funny and thinking, oh, how horrible.
So where do they live then? Do they lease it or something?
They would lease it. A lot of the time, they would be just kind of allowed to live there so that they could, and they would be given a portion, yeah. And what you wind up later in the 1800s or in the 1840s, you have the potato famine, right? Now that's 1840s. He's not writing about the potato famine. The potato famine is 1840s, like around 1845. But it comes out of the same sort of thing. The potato famine happens when you get more of these colonists. England is colonizing America, England's also colonizing Ireland, and you get the colonists who come in and they say, ooh, we've got our English way of doing farming. So they cut down trees, they farm more things like corn and all of that, and they allow the workers a little patch of land where the Irish live off of potatoes. They realize that potatoes are more healthy as a one-crop subsistence situation. So the Irish are given a little patch of land where they can grow their potatoes, and that's what they eat. And then they just farm the heck out of everything else, growing corn and wheat and stuff like that. So you have this shift from a kind of pastoral lifestyle, which could sustain them, to now all they have for their own food is potatoes. And there's a potato blight that wipes out the entire crop for several years in a row. And that's why people start coming to America and so many people die and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's like they have just a little patch of ground that's theirs. Okay, we will finish talking about Swift on Monday. Thank you. Yes. And can you get your zoom in on this?
Yeah, Ernie. You don't know shit,